You're listening to the Hawke Media Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and executives crush the digital marketing game. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. Let's get into the show.
You're listening to HawkeTalk. Today we're joined by Andreas Mikkelsen. How you doing?
Good. I'm fine. I'm in Norway at the moment. It's starting to get pretty cold here right now.
Yeah, I remember I visited you in August a few years ago, and it was still cold for me being from LA.
Yeah, I can imagine. So no, actually, yesterday was our first day of snow, so it's coming now.
Nice.
Winter is coming.
Well, I guess that's to be expected out there. And you spend some of your time there and some of your time in Monaco, right?
Exactly. I moved to Monaco in 2012. Obviously, this season it's not so much driving going on, so I've been back and forth a lot to Monaco and where I'm originally from in Oslo, Norway.
Nice. And so before we dive into everything, curious, because I'm sure a lot of listeners don't know, like, why Monaco, other than it being beautiful and glamorous? Why move to Monaco?
Well, there's several reasons. I think number one reason there's a lot of sports people go to Monaco. Obviously, there's no tax there. Obviously, our careers are very short, so we would like to make the most out of it.
Yeah.
At the same point, it's a beautiful place to live. I mean, you have the French Riviera. You have 1 hour by car. You're you can go up skiing, up in the Alps. So it has more or less everything there.
Yep. Sounds familiar. Well, awesome. Well, so let's dive in. You've kind of hit, a mega career when it comes to rally racing. And I'm, really curious at like 3 years old, was that your dream? You're like, that's it. Has this been something that you were born with? And you've always been like you were like Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights. Like the first time you went fast, you're like, that's it. I'm going to be a race car driver. Like, how did it start?
No, to be honest, I'm born and raised in Norway, and everything in Norway is about skiing. It's about alpine skiing, and so I was. My sister used to be a skier. She used to do really, really well. I was, more or less raised up in the mountains. Uh-huh. So skiing was basically my aim as a little kid.
When did you start skiing? How old were you?
I was like 1.5, 2 years old.
Nice. So just started to walk and put you on skis.
Just exactly. Now I can ski. So I started very, very early, and I skied until I was like 15, 16 years old on a very high level. I was doing the Junior World Championship, doing really, really well. And at that time, I started to get some pain in my knees. So no doctors really found out exactly what it was. It was like I was skiing one day. The next morning I woke up, my knees were hurting a bit. So I needed one run in the slopes to get some heat into them, and then it was working. The next day I needed 2 runs to get them working, and in the end I couldn't even walk down the stairs in the morning. Wow. So I think the doctors think it's too much training at the young age. Yeah, with the weights and everything when my body is not fully grown, So, yep. So that was very, very tough at the moment when it happened. Obviously, I was going to a ski scholarship up in the school in Norway, the sports school up in the mountains, where you have a school from 8 in the morning until 12:01, and then you ski for the rest of the day. But I couldn't ski, so next to that mountain, it's a place called Dagali, which they basically make tracks on the frozen lakes with cars. So they slide around, enjoying. So I went up there just to do something fun.
And how old were you at that point?
I was 16.
Nice.
Normally need to be 18 to drive in Norway, but since it's on a closed lake, I was able to do it. Nice. So I fell in love with the sport straight away. Sliding around in the car was really, really fun. So
hard not to enjoy it.
Then I found my new path, my new career.
Yeah, no, it's hard not to enjoy that. And how, growing up, how were your parents? Were your parents always encouraging, pushing you to do these things, or was it coming from you personally?
Well, I come from, my mom is very like this typical soccer mom, very loving, very, very safe person. My dad was more of he was more tough. He was pushing me at a very young age to do all this kind of training. that's why I think I got some injuries in my knees because I was pushing a bit too much in a young age.
Yep.
So he has been doing a little bit of rallying before. So that he introduced me to rallying when I was going up to that school. I couldn't ski, and he said that, hey, I suggest you go up there and have some fun, and slide a bit around. And that's how I got into things.
So is rallying a big thing in Norway? Is this like a normal thing, or is it just random that your dad liked it too?
Well, motorsport in general in Norway it's not huge, but my fellow countryman Petter Solberg, he became world champion in rallying in 2003. And after that, it was like a boom. It was rallying was very popular. Everyone was following it, and he caught my attention as well. So I was always interested in motorsport and in particular rallying. After that season when he became a superstar in Norway, basically.
Were there other motor sports you were doing before that? What else were you into?
I was doing motocross with the motorbikes. But that was more for practice for skiing, actually. A lot of the skiers use motocross for training, actually. It's especially the downhill skiers to train their mentality, you become very tough when you do motocross.
Right. Interesting. I've actually had not heard that, but it makes sense. I grew up riding motocross and snowboarding and skiing. So yeah, I could see that. Motocross, that's where I broke bones. Like it's a lot tougher than most sports.
Yeah, but I because the first time I was ever injured in my life, it was 6 weeks ago, and I was on a motocross bike. So
really, what'd you do?
Yeah, but no, I fell off the bike because normally when you're driving in the World Rally Championship, you're driving for a car manufacturer, and it's written in your contract that you cannot do dangerous things, including riding a motocross bike. But at the moment, I don't have a deal with a car manufacturer. So the first thing I bought was a motorbike. But now I understand why it's not allowed in our contracts, because I broke I broke 6 ribs, my collarbone, punctured lung, and part of my shoulder.
How long ago did you say this was?
6 weeks ago. 6 weeks
you
ago.
look great, man.
Yeah.
Broke my leg 3 months ago. I was gonna say I broke my leg 3 months ago, and I just started running yesterday again. Like it took 3 months to really get back into it. So you with ribs and everything, sitting here looking normal. It's a good job.
Yeah, but it was I timed it actually quite good because I just finished because I'm a test driver now for Pirelli, the tires, to improve them for the rally stuff. And I was just finished a test, and it was like 6 weeks to the next test. So I was perfect. Just fit enough before I could jump in the car again. So that was a good timing.
Yeah. Then you feeling good? You back in it?
Yeah. Well, I normally, besides the rallying, I train a little bit of CrossFit because I find that really, really nice and good training. But this is still too tough for me to do. Yeah. I mean, I can drive a rally car, that's fine. But when you start to do, hanging around and in these ropes and stuff, this is still tough for the shoulder. Yeah,
makes sense. Okay, so 16, you start rally racing. What happens next? Like, how you obviously loved it.
Well, yeah, obviously the tricky part about the motorsport in general is that obviously it costs a lot of money to start out. I was very fortunate at the time to have a father who could help me out in the beginning.
So what kind of cost is that? Like, what does it cost to start in rally?
It depends because you have all these different type of cars.
Sure.
I would say where we started out, probably per year it was maybe like 300,000 euros.
Yeah,
which is quite a fair amount. And then if you want to do the best cars possible, the WRC cars, then it's we're talking €1 million, So, so he helped me out in the very beginning, so I could start doing rallying and stuff. And then in 2008, when the economical crisis came in, he was struck very, very hard. So he told me that now, Andreas, you have to stop thinking about rallying. You have to start to go to the military, start to find a career business-wise, or do something else. Mm-hmm. And I felt that I didn't want to give up. I felt I still had a lot to give in the sport, and I felt good at it. So I didn't want to stop.
How old were you in 2008?
In 2008, I was 19 years old.
Okay. So you were 3 years. When did you actually When was the transition from I tried this for the first time to I'm going to buy a car and get into it professionally? Were you 18 when you started?
No, I started because I had my injury when I was 16 and skiing,
Right.
and then half a year later I moved to the UK, to Wales, because there you can take your driving license when you're 17. In Norway it's 18.
Yeah.
So I started out in Wales, so I could start to drive 1 year earlier, and then I drove 1 year doing rallying, and I was doing really, really well, winning national rallies. Obviously, World Championship is a different level. I was not doing very well there, but it was still very, very early. And and then he was hit quite hard, and I was told to stop doing racing. But then I didn't want to give up. There was some Norwegian backers in Norway who wanted to help me and support me.
Yeah. And what were the reasons? Did it just like you, or did they have something to gain from the sponsorship? Where did that come from?
No, I mean, it was not so much sponsorship. I mean, they just really love rallying, and I was doing really well, and they thought it was a shame to see that my career was put on hold, so they wanted to help out, even though my father couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
So it was really, really nice of them. So they stepped up and helped me to get back to rallying, doing rallies in the Norwegian Championship. But for them, it was really important that I could show my talent. So they bought me like this really cheap car, which was much worse than everyone else's had. And they told me that if you want our help, you have to do it our way. So, and I was happy. If it just had four wheels, I would be happy,
Yeah.
So I beat more or less everyone with this car, which was much worse. And then I think Skoda UK, they saw the results I had in Norway, and they wanted me to drive for them in the European Championship. And that's the transition from me being a driver in Norway locally until bigger manufacturers, they follow all the results from all the national championship, and they were seeing that I was doing well, and they wanted me to drive for them.
You think having that bad car, the car that was, the shitty car, for lack of a better word, that they made you drive, actually helped with that? Do you think that actually caught their attention too, or was it just you were winning, so whatever?
I think no, I don't think they knew how bad that car was. To be honest, because it was like a Group N car. It's a very, very standardized car. I mean, it still has a clutch, and it's I still have to change the gears while I'm clutching everything, which is not normal in rally cars at all. So it's basically a normal standard production car, just put on a roll cage and then go out and try to beat the proper rally cars,
Yeah.
So anyway, I was risking everything and driving as fast as I could. And then, I caught the attention of Skoda, which took me on board for 2 years in the European Championship, where I won both seasons.
Yeah. And so when someone like that takes you on board, they obviously cover the cost of racing, but do you get paid well? Like, how does that look?
Well, in the European Championship, it's not really well paid. I mean, they take care of the cost, and they give you a small salary.
Got it. And at this point, how old were you?
I'm this 2011, 2012. So I was like 23, 24, something like this.
Yeah. So early 20s, you really made it to the level. I mean, maybe not a lot of money, but you're a professional rally driver at that point.
No, well, I could live from it.
Yeah, right.
I didn't make a lot of money, because you make a lot of money when you get to the World Championship, when you get the proper contracts. Yeah. So obviously, Volkswagen owns Skoda, the Volkswagen motor company. So when I won that European Championship 2 years in a row with Skoda, Volkswagen decided to join the World Rally Championship. And me being part of the group already, it was natural for me to be on board for Volkswagen's project in the World Rally Championship as a junior driver, because obviously I was new to the championship. They bought the two most experienced guys to have because they have each manufacturer had 3 cars. So two cars which they really expect great results, and a junior which they want to build up for the future.
Got it.
So when I signed for them in 2013, I was signed as a junior driver for the future. They wanted to build me up. and I was doing really, really well. I had a huge progress, and during 2014, 15, 16, the years of 14, 15, 16, I was third in the world championship in the overall standings, and then I started to win rallies. At the end of 2016, I was the only one who could challenge the world champion at that point.
Wow.
And but then which was quite sad, was that obviously Volkswagen was caught for the Dieselgate scandal,
Yep.
with the normal private cars on the road. And obviously they had big bills to pay, and they had to cut jobs. Obviously, before they cut jobs, they scrap all the motorsport projects.
Wow.
Because normally I signed a contract with them which until 2019, an amazing contract. Really being the one that they wanted to focus fully on for the future. So when they had to pull out at the end of 2016, the problem with that, even though I was ranked number 2 in the world, was that all the other manufacturers had signed their drivers for 2017 because it was in December.
Yeah.
So even though I was really, really up there, I was standing on the sideline. And then I had to fight my way back into the championship. So mid-season 2017, I did some rallies for Skoda, which is in the division under. So you have the WRC, which is WRC cars, and then you have WRC2, which is doing the same rally, but just in a lower power, not so much aerodynamics and everything.
Yep.
And I was doing really well, winning everything. And then I signed for Hyundai for the last 2 years now.
With who?
Which has been with Hyundai.
Oh, Hyundai, yeah.
The Korean car manufacturer. And that has been really, really 2 frustrating seasons, to be honest, because all the cars are a bit different to drive. I mean, you have to adjust your driving style a bit to make the most out of the cars. But coming into Hyundai, I came into a team where the drivers has been there for 6-7 years already. They have made the cars exactly like how they like to drive.
Yep.
And it was the first time in my life where I couldn't really adapt to the car and how to drive it.
Yeah.
It's like doing if you compare it to alpine skiing, if you want to do a slalom course, but you have downhill skis.
Yeah.
So, you want to turn, but the skis wants to go straight.
Yeah.
So I was really fighting in the corners to make the car turn. And so the last 2 years has been not as successful. I was still 4th in the championship and many podiums.
You're not excited and you're still placing 4th in the world.
Yeah, but
I get it. You're a competitor.
I felt I lost 1/10 of a second going into every corner. I was not, happy, or because I struggled to drive the car, but the other drivers really delivered great results with it. So for me to change the car, that means that it also has to be changed for them, and they were against it because they were happy,
Yeah.
So it was 2 really frustrating years of fighting with the car, and so my contract ended now last December. Yep. So this season I'm out with no contract with any manufacturers, and now fighting for a fresh start with a new manufacturer to go back in and try to find a car which suits me and my driving style, and where I can really enjoy and try to win rallies again.
Yep. And so what do you think set you up to be such a good driver? Like, where do you think that came from? Like, again, being 16, I get that you got to do it but you started driving at the same age I did. Like in California, I got my license at 16. I was driving at 15 and a half, and I was driving off-road. I was doing fun things, but what made you excel so fast so you could get, win all these races? Like, you were winning races by the time you were 17 or at 17. Why do you think you were so good at this?
No, I think my background from skiing really helped me. It's all about connecting the corners, and if you slide too much with your skis, it's breaking. So it's the same with the car. You don't want to slide too much to understand the fastest way through a corner, basically. And what I really felt is that in skiing, you have more or less 2 minutes. That's your whole run. So, out of the box, you have to be so quick and so on it. Yeah. While rally drivers, it's over 3 days. A lot of people, they drive themselves in on the first days, to get a feeling. But I felt that directly from the stage one, I was always very, very quick. And I think that's because of skiing. I was used to being fast out of the box, straight.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of positive things I could take from skiing. But it's just a general love for speed, adrenaline, taking calculated risks, because obviously rallying is probably the most dangerous motorsport there is, compared to track racing. For like Formula One, it's if you go off the road, you hit the sand for 200 meters and then you hit something. We go straight into trees or cliffs or whatever. So for me, I'm not too bothered to take these risks, and I'm just in the zone when I'm driving. So I think it's just a sport that suits me quite well.
Got it. It seems to. And you always race with a navigator, right? When you're driving rally, do you always have someone in the right seat?
Yes, exactly. I have a co-driver who, I had 2-3 different ones, because when I started, I was really young, and it was really important to have a co-driver with a lot of experience. Because I think if you're 2 young guys inside that car, it will be quite dangerous. So it's nice to have one which has the experience, who could teach me a little bit how to do things. So at some point I had to change, and then I knew one guy from my childhood, was also one of my best friends, which is really super serious. And I also enjoy my time with him, because we're traveling 230 days a year together, a full season. So it's really important that we get along and that we enjoy our time together, because basically we see each other more than we see girlfriends or family,
Yep. Business partner in some senses.
Yeah, exactly. So no, that's he has a huge role as well.
And how long, when you say you race for 3 days, usually, like how long is each race? How long are you behind the wheel at a time?
Like normally a rally is from Friday until Sunday. And it's 20 stages approximately, divided over 350 kilometers. So one stage can be everything from 1 kilometer until 40. But I would say the most normal is around 20 kilometers. So 12 miles or 13 miles, something like that.
And what kind of speeds are you usually going at? Like, let's say when you have a little bit of straight, how fast are these things? Because I know it's not it's not Formula One in that sense, because you're off-road and turns.
Yeah, it's not super quick, to be honest. It's top speed is around 200 kilometers per hour, which in the United States miles per hour, probably, I don't know, 130 miles per hour. No more. Yeah, something like that.
Around that, yeah.
Yeah. So, but the roads we are driving on is there's almost no straights. It's corner to corner, and they're made to be super quick from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. Yeah. So there it's like under 3 seconds, and so we could make the cars going much faster, but we don't need it.
Yep, got it. And so, what do you think is next? I mean, this is one of those interesting things that you kind of said it. Careers are short in this. You're still very young with a lot behind you and a lot of success under you, and no taxes in Monaco. It sounds like testing, helping Pirelli build tires, which Pirelli is an obviously premium brand, so that's an awesome gig too. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, of course, I want to be in the World Championship, driving for car manufacturers, fighting for the World Championship to be world champion. I mean, that's my goal, and I still haven't achieved that. I've been close many times. But no, I like the Pirelli thing is more to keep myself fit, driving wise, doing testing. So I'm not like 1 year fully out doing nothing.
Yeah.
So all this is a part of working myself back again into the World Rally Championship. There is coming new cars, new regulations in 2022 with hybrid cars. So hopefully that will attract new manufacturers. And because at the moment it's only Hyundai, Ford, and Toyota doing the championship. So there's very few seats available. That's why it's so hard now to be one of those.
On a personal, or not even a personal note, but I'm surprised Subaru has pulled out the WRX. They don't do rally anymore. I feel like they made one of the main rally cars for a long time.
I know the Subaru WRX. Yeah. It's they are basically known for rallying. Like they were really good before.
Yep.
And but there are some rumors about them returning to rallying, which would be really, really nice for the championship to have them back.
Yeah. Awesome. And so how big is the sport? Like, I mean, I don't even know how to measure it, but like, how many people compete in the world championship at this point? Like, what does that lineup look like?
Well, in the World Rally Championship, on the pinnacle class, there is at the moment 12 cars because there are no more manufacturers.
Yeah.
There are some private drivers who rent some cars doing some of the rallies.
Yeah.
But there is very few seats. But that's the pinnacle. And then you have, for example, WRC2, which is the same rallies, but just the lower categories of cars, and then it's a lot. So I would say an entry list for a world championship is probably 100 cars, something like that.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And so next, kind of last question here. Someone wants to achieve what you have. Like, what do you think you could have known, or what advice would you give? You know, you were skiing from 1.5 on, and that you felt at 16 really led you to be a great racer. But for someone that wants to achieve their dream, wants to go for it, what's some advice? What's something that's gotten you through some hard times? Because you have been through a roller coaster, as much as this is something that you also seem to have gotten from a young age. Like, you've had your ups and downs, you've lost your funding, you've had different teams, you've had to change a lot. Like, what is something that kept you going that made you stick with this? No,
it's I have to say, doing sports on a high level is a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, it's super hard work. It's but you know, when you are successful, or if you have a great result, I mean, that feeling is just so nice. So I think it's really important to enjoy those moments, because there are so many ups and downs, and the difficult times will be there. So it's really important to feel when you know things are going well in your direction, and take that in. I think that's really, really important. And at the end of the day, it's so important to have fun. I lost a little bit of that fun feeling after my 2 years in Hyundai, where it was two really frustrating seasons. And, then, I've been doubting myself many times, is this something I really want to do? But I know that when I'm in a place where I'm happy, I mean, there's nothing cooler in the whole world. So to really hold on to the nice moments is great, because for sure there will be challenging moments, but you have to climb them, and then, it will be good in the end. Well, thank you so much for being on. I'm sure you'll be good. I'm sure with the kind of rankings you've had, you're not going to have any problems. So I'm excited to see you out there. It's all about hard work, and then in the end, will be achieved. I mean, I do agree. We make our own luck if you keep at it, which you have. I mean, the thing I think to learn, one of the things to learn from you is you're in an off season. You had a bad couple of years. It can get you down, but you're now training with Pirelli, and you've got money coming in, and you're getting to continue to drive and keep your face out there so that something's going to come. I mean, people are going to get into this. People are looking for things to do right now, and sports are on the uptick. So I think you're probably going to see these car manufacturers looking for something exciting to engage people. So I hope so. It will be an interesting time. Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for being on, and we'll talk soon. All right. Thank you very much, Erik. Say hello to everyone.
You've been listening to the Hawke Media Podcast. To ensure that you never miss an episode, make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.